Rick, how you doing, man? I love the smile.
Well, good morning, Keith. How are you? I see you got your Tennessee Volunteers cap on again.
I sure do, sure do. Got to represent my roots.
Shelby County.
Shelby County, baby. And I thought we'd do a show inspired by one of our favorite artists, Lina, spelled Lina. And this song is called Wake Up. And yeah, you know the lyrics, and the lyrics start off with, "Wake up, my love, the day is calling. Got to get up, put on my clothes, and change my circumstances." And it's just a beautiful, beautiful song. And I thought we'd riff a little bit about that. What do you think?
I think that's great. Let me start by saying one thing that's really important for the viewers is that if you've never taken a spin class with Keith, it's the most inspiring, coolest thing ever because you have a group of people whose energy level is already high, but when you put them together, there's this magical synergy that's a tipping point for emotional well-being. I really miss those spin classes, man. And the tunes you pick for the spin, always positive, uplifting. And there's something about really exercising hard with people you love, everybody feeling healthy and alive. And then there's you pushing us on to do more and more and more. Up to three, up to three. Okay. I mean, it's heaven. And so Lena's perfect for this morning.
Oh, thank you, Rick. Yeah, man. So, the song Wake Up, whenever I think about it, man, and I normally play it in the spin class when we're up and getting on the bike at 5 a.m. in the morning. And back in those days when you were spinning with me, it was 4:30. So people are really getting a little gift now with a 30-minute sleep in. But, that's one of the songs that I play on a Monday morning, man, which is really, for me, it means shaking out of your default settings of mind wandering, ruminating, anxiety, all those things that prevent you from being present in this moment and grateful, and just kind of brings you out of those default settings so you can show up your best during the day. And I could have, as you and I have been on this journey over the last 7+ years, I mean, really, really focus on the journey itself. I could have used the song, prior to those 7 years. But, Rick, even if someone would have played this song, I wouldn't have gotten it, man. With the growth, it lands on me a little bit different. And
Yeah.
that's because I spend more of my time out of my default settings. What about you, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, default is great if you're in a groove that you like, right? I mean,
Right.
I shouldn't say like because we can be slothful,
Right.
and not making a contribution and being a total jerk, and that's a groove too that you
Yeah.
like, that you could like. But what I meant was that if you're in a position or a place where you've worked hard at being mindful and grateful and focusing on meaning and leading a meaningful and a satisfying life for all concerned, then it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. But I think the start point is that you have to decide what's important for you and how you want to live your life. I always go back to that Gandhi thing about, okay, Rick, you're dissatisfied with something in your life right now. Anger. Here's a good one. I'm angry. So how do I get out of that? Well, you study what the causes of that anger is, and you develop a strategy for getting out of it. So my point is that if you want to be the change in your life, you've got to get on board. You got to wake up early, like Lena says,
Yes.
shake off your circumstance, get out of that groove, and get to work. You know, the thing that's troubling, I think, for me is to watch other people who are suffering. And I realize how much time I spent wasting my life by focusing on things that really weren't important. So the idea that you just continue to complain and you're on this endless loop, stimulus, response, disappointment, depression, cynical thoughts, that's you. You got to get out of that. You got to get off that bike.
Yeah, I totally agree, Rick. And man, thank you for dropping that knowledge about the default settings, because as the default settings that I have been conditioned to live in or reside in for most of my life have been those of striving, trying to achieve, getting to the next moment. That's really where I've lived my life, and anything that got in the way of me getting to the next moment, which is elusive. I really judged or made situations or people wrong, like all the time.
Yeah.
And I cause myself suffering and I cause others suffering. I really became clear on how I was impacting other people's lives, as I got deeper into my practice. And so to your point about depending on what the default settings are, whether or not you should get out of it. And I think to your point, if it's not serving others in a loving and kind way, then you want to shift that. And you may be a person who doesn't care about others, but maybe you have two, or when I say others, I mean people outside of your circle, your little tribe. But outside of your family, you inside of your family, you care about them. So how are you showing up for them? Are you coming home from work in a trance to where you can't even notice your loved ones at home? Are you sitting down to the dinner table? I know this is one of your pet peeves, Rick, sitting down to the dinner table about to break bread with people that you say you care about, and you got your electronic devices with you, and all those things like you want to get off of that track. So many years ago, after realizing the way that I wasn't really contributing to the environment that I had the privilege of being in, with family and friends. Once I realized that, I made a commitment that I was going to show up kind and loving in every space that I go into. And some people may say, "Hey, that's a heavy lift." It's only heavy if my mind tells me it's heavy. But once I started to say that I'm going to approach being kind like breathing. Literally, I saw every opportunity as a practice to be accepting, to be grateful, and to be kind. And that's really become my default mode, Rick, is to show up that way. And I've noticed how you show up for me, man. And I know the love, kindness, and grace you give to me, that's your default mode when I'm around you. Like, I don't know any other Rick, but that Rick. And I just want to say, man, I'm so grateful for you redefining what your default mode can be and how it can be helpful. And so thankfully, you, our friends who, Tim, and we got so many to name, Matt, Pete, Brian, oh yeah, Brian Chong. I mean, we had so many great friends, man, that have contributed to me waking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really great point, Keith. Thanks for that. I think that the idea of waking up is important. Everybody sort of starts out with the idea that it's the world and other people are scary. You don't want to be vulnerable, so we spend a lot of time trying to self-protect. But when you realize that self-protection is causing you pain, it gets in the way of who you really are and the happiness that you're really trying to seek. That makes a big difference. That's a big paradigm shift in your mind, if you can make it, which is, what is it costing you right now to behave in a way that you don't like about yourself? If you like yourself, then there's no inquiry. But if there's something that's going on that's, boy, I said these things and I didn't want to say them, or I hurt somebody's feelings and I misunderstood something, or I reacted in a goofy way or a hostile way. Well, those are things that bring us pain at night. It makes it tough to sleep because we know we're not our best selves. And so when that stuff happens, we have to think, what is the cause of that? Let's investigate. And for me, when I get down to it, usually it's like, okay, Rick, I was feeling threatened, or I was sad because someone lied to me, and I was grieving that relationship, because the basis of every relationship is integrity, which is not lying. And so I would be thinking I was not present for that person. I was lying, or I was misrepresenting something, or I was trying to make myself look good. And I wanted to get rid of all that stuff so I could have a real relationship, heart to heart, with other people. Well, that makes, when I started down that road, that's a little queasy, because heart to heart means, I got to show who I really am, take the mask off, and that I may be rejected. and yeah, it's true. You are. There's a lot of people who do reject you, and a lot of people who want to judge you, and that's totally cool. And it's nice to have an automatic self-weeding mechanism, so the people who are harmful or judgmental or who are not going to help you on your path get weeded out in a hurry.
Yeah, a little pruning.
Yeah. So it's kind of a good thing. But again, the key that I keep focusing on is the leverage. You have to have a feeling of discomfort in your own life and within your own skin of something being wrong, that motivates you to want to try a practice that can bring about inner peace and take those masks off and show the world and yourself who you really are. And that's, you know, when you get a little taste of that, it's like you know, it's like a good beer. I mean, it's delicious.
Yeah, you know, and I think, you know, the default settings can be different for everyone. My default setting was you're wrong, I'm right. And that showed up everywhere, you know,
Yeah.
and it me judging. And I got to be right about my narrative. I'm not a morning person. It takes me a long time to be warm. This isn't for me. I can't do this. No, you know, you betrayed me, or no one cares about me, or, you know, I lack the confidence to do this, and just all these things that I'm trapped into that don't serve me, and they certainly don't serve others. I mean, all those default settings that cause me any level of suffering. And, you know, you can rationalize it all day, you know, but there's a cost to justifying, you know, those harmful default settings. And since I've redefined the way that I want to show up consistently, Rick, something phenomenal happened. Suffering ended. Like it ended, you know, and the suffering shows up that as in a lot of ways, anger, like you said, Rick, but, you know, feelings of betrayal, rejection, all that suffering, that some of it is self, you know, initiated because of our, you know, because of our narratives. And the other parts of it are just not being conscious. In any case, man, I have made a conscious choice to really wake up. And I want to be present for everything that's around me, man. You know, Rick, I'm on that journey to zero, as you know.
Yeah. The old depreciation scale.
Yeah, man. I mean, my days are numbered. I mean, this saying is flowing out of that hourglass, man. I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot more sand on the bottom half than the top half. And so
Yeah.
I want to spend these days awake, man.
That's a great piece of advice for all of us. Even if you're 20, life is that quick. Even if you've got 100 years to live, it's like that. No kidding. You know, and when you're on the back side of the bell curve heading down, what do you want to do? I mean, do you want to continue to judge and to be miserable and to make other people wrong? As you discover, it's a zero-sum game. Okay, let's say you get to the end of the trail and you're right about everything. Who wants to be around someone who's always going to be critical and judging? And you miss so much of the heartfelt joy that it is to share with another human being. You know, and let's talk clearly about one thing that's important. That is that no matter what kind of practice you have, the emotions still come up. Anger still comes up. Resentment still comes up. Grief still comes up. Those are all emotions that are hardwired into us, like, you know,
Yes.
like your Mac or whatever your laptop is. That's just the way the damn thing works. So you have to have a software control on that allows you to either override it or, more importantly, to recognize, okay, this is a human emotion. Anger serves a purpose. It's probably a survival related thing. But what's below the anger? What is it?
Yeah.
What is it that really is troubling me? And usually, in my case, what I feel is it's usually an unmet need. Like, okay, they didn't respect me, or I gave them something and I didn't get something back in return. I don't feel loved. You know, it's usually, you know, something below anger that really is causing you to behave that way. So once you investigate and you kind of just sit with it for a while, you realize, hey, you know, it's my call how I want to play this, right? I can let that other person be, create that person in my head as an enemy, or I can let it go. And that's, you know, that's where they are in their path. But for me on my path, man, I'm not going to let my own emotion trap me into a way of behaving that is not fulfilling for me.
Absolutely, Rick, man. I think you said it best. We can end right there, man. And I just want to thank you for keeping me awake. Thank you.
Oh, Keith, man, I get it's every time. This is like going to church when we do these sessions. It's like going to church, man. I love being with you and hearing what you've gone through, and you've gone through a ton of crap, man. And I really respect how you've handled it. And you're a joy to be around. You know, everybody who knows you, I think, would say that the same thing. If they don't, then they're blind or deaf or something, or just going through the motions. But you really are an enhancement to my life and the lives of those you touch.
All right, thank you, Rick. You've had a big hand in that, man. You know what I was like before. So,
Yeah, nothing. It's all you, man. It's all you.
all right, thanks, Rick. I love you.
I love you. Adios.
Adios.